Welcome to Conversation with Haych, and we have an amazing guest with us today, an award-winning barber who has cut the likes of Anthony Joshua, Reggie Yates, Stormzy, LeBron James, Daniel Sturridge, to name a few. Like he's got a long list of people, like just categorizing everything. He's also featured or worked with Facebook, MasterCard. He's been on the Huffington Post, GQ, Time Out, Complex, and many more. He has a book called Shaping Up Culture, where he gives us key business insights, as well as his YouTube channel, SliderCuts, where he shows us stuff from incredible trims to encouragement to a day in the life. He's a husband to the incredible artist LaQuina. See how he corrects me, that's beautiful. He's a father to two incredible sons.
Yep.
I introduced you to the superb, the amazing SliderCuts, also known as Mark Maciver. How you doing today, sir?
I am doing well. I'm good, thanks for having me.
Nah, I appreciate you coming through, man. For those who don't know who you are, because everyone knows, I feel like everyone knows SliderCuts. I feel like everyone knows SliderCuts. I feel like everyone's seen your face somewhere. But for those who don't know who you are, who is Mark?
Mark, I am what you see. I'm a barber, I'm a speaker, I'm a business mentor, I'm a husband, father. That is me, to wrap it up, to be honest. You know, if you don't know me, that I'm an author. I think I said that already as well. Yeah. I'm someone who actually likes to teach. I like to teach communities which are, I can't say disadvantaged, but maybe disadvantaged with education, or just don't have the same opportunities as everyone. And because I've grown up in a certain environment, I guess my heart is always for those who lack certain things as well. So I think, you know, a lot of the things which I do, whether it's from the book or the mentoring schemes or the community outreach, it comes from that place of being one of those kids and wanting to help those same people which were like me, or who are like me. Well, who I was like, should I say.
I hear that. You've talked about in the past, like feeling privileged being born into the family you're in, being privileged born into the country you're in. What is it about the family that you were in that made you feel so privileged?
Well, the reason why I say privileged, you know, unfortunate, is because although, you know, I didn't grow up with, you know, loads of wealth, and, you know, we were poor growing up, and you know, we were even homeless at one stage growing up. I still think, you know, I had lots of fortune because the country we're in, when we became homeless, they found us, you know, temporary accommodation. We moved around for a few years until they found us full-time accommodation, which is when I was 10. So from about 5 or 6, maybe around 5 till I was 10, we kept on moving around. When I was 10, we got put into a not temporary, full-time accommodation, proper accommodation, which my mum is still there now. I moved out of there about 10 years ago. So, you know, that was fortunate. So even though it's kind of like the misfortune of, you know, us becoming homeless because of my mum owned a shop, and the storehouse got robbed. So they took everything. Everything gone, you know. So she never had insurance. I think she didn't have insurance because she's from Nigeria. I'm not sure if they had things like insurance. So when she came over here,
not really thinking about
about those things there, you know, then everything gets stolen. Then it's like, you know, you've got no money to stock up again. You know, but you still got to pay the bills for the month, and you still got to pay the rent, because we were living in a house or the flat above the shop. So eventually, long and short of it, we became homeless. And then it's like, you know, just because of a mistake she didn't know. It's funny because I said we didn't come to this country, well, my mum didn't come to this country poor. I wasn't born into poverty. You know, we got placed into poverty because of the misfortune of her losing the shop. Then we're homeless. Then, you know, we got given temporary accommodation. Now that's the fortune, because, you know, we got put up. And that's why I said, you know, I feel privileged and fortunate for that situation. And then, you know, we moved around and we found out full-time accommodation. And from there, you know, I worked hard. I watched what my mum was doing, because my mum was always working hard. She was always trying something different, you know, selling chin-chins, selling plantains to shops, you know, Avon back in the days. You know, she was always trying something different anyway. So that's what I mean by, you know, I'm fortunate. Even though there's misfortune that's happened in my life, you know, there was still a lot of fortune that allowed us to come out of it.
How did what happened with your mom and your mom's shop, and then seeing your mom as a businesswoman, how did that affect you, do you think, growing up and then becoming a businessman yourself?
I think subconsciously, it played a big part in my life, because I always saw my mum just trying something new and just working. And also, like, when my mum used to make chin chin and plantain chips and sell them to shops, she used to make the chin chin and she used to make the plantain chips, but it was me and my brothers that had to weigh it, put it into the bags, seal the bags, put the labels onto the bags, and deliver them to the shops. So she made them, but she had us in the kitchen.
Doing delivery service.
Yes, doing the work, you know, literally, you know, weighing, okay, whatever the grams are, or that grams, okay, take a little bit out, okay, cool, yeah, that's the way it is, okay, put in the machine, put the thing down, seal it, then, okay, we got the stickers, stick them onto it, okay, put them away, you know. So all those things there, I think that's all kind of like, I'm learning, I'm behind the scenes, but actually working, and then, you know, go and deliver them to the actual shops, you know, and, you know, that these shops weren't even close, you know, just deliver them. And so I'm learning those things there, as well as seeing her, you know, trying different things all the time. Oh, Avon this, or selling that. You know, so I think, you know, and just, you know, just trying everything she could, you know, just to bring in money. So I think that played a part. And I think also it's another thing that played a massive part. And it's such a small thing, right? But my mom once told me that when I was about 7, I think I was. She once told me that my granddad, he owned a factory in Nigeria, and he used to make rubber and sell it and deport it to other countries, even to England.
Wow.
You know, so I remember hearing that, saying he had a factory. And I remember even around that age, of maybe I was 6 or 7, I remember we were in the living room one time, and it's me and my 3 brothers, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was on TV, and so something happened where he said he got paid millions, basically, for some film he was in. And we all started talking about, I don't know why this was the figure, but this was the figure saying, if you got given £40,000, what would you do with it? And my brothers were talking about things they'd buy, computer consoles, trainers, all these different things, right? And I remember I said, I'd buy a factory.
At 6, 7?
Yeah, but the reason why I said I'd buy a factory was because my granddad had a factory, and my mom had told me that he had a factory. So I was like, oh, I'll have a factory. And I said, I'll make stuff basically to make money. So I said, I'll get a factory and I'll make stuff, and then, you know, sell it somehow and make more money. And that was basically the start, you could say, of my business brain. But it was what my mum told me, you know, and it was just kind of like, oh yeah, get a factory, make stuff, make money. It just made sense.
Do you know how, like, amazing it is that your mind for money at 6, 7 years of age, to say, oh, if I get money, I can then do something to make more money. Whereas other people, I know what I was thinking at 6, 7. If I get an Action Man or this and this, I'll get a load of Action Man, line them up in my room, protect my room. Like,
Makes sense.
That's what people, in your head, you were like, at 6, 7 years old, you was like, I'm gonna buy a factory, not just to have a factory, not just to have a factory, but you buying a factory because if I have a factory, I can
make stuff and make money. But that's because of what my mom said about my granddad. So if she never said that to me, it's funny, because I can't say my life would have changed, but I do think if she never said that to me, maybe that would have been awoken at that time. Or maybe it might have never. You know, because it was that, I feel like that was the start of that thinking. You know, and also knowing someone in my family had done that. Because remember, at this point as well, we were poor. So when my mom told me that, we were just in poverty. So I didn't see wealth, or, you know, it's weird. I just didn't. To me, because we were poor, it almost meant that my family's poor. It's weird. It's just kind of like, this is our situation. We're poor, so
if I'm poor, then the rest of my family must be poor.
To some degree. Although I knew that I had an uncle, which was funny, that he was rich. Well, seemingly rich. You had an uncle that, you know, every time you saw him, he gave. Maybe it was after that, he just gave you money. They might be £20, might be £50. They just had this uncle, right? You know. But I just never connected that to, we weren't born into poverty. You know, I never connected the two. Just kind of like, oh, he's got money. But, you know, but we're just poor. So So that literally, I think, you know, woke up something in me, you know, to think along those lines. And, you know, look down the line now, you know, 30 years later, you know, I do own a business, a premises, you know, that does make money now.
This is what I'm saying. Like, it's crazy that you had that thought process then. But when you were like younger, before we get into the barbering, was there anything you wanted to become apart from a barber?
Yeah, I wanted to be an actor. So even at that time, I wanted to be an actor. And around between 7 and 10, I can't remember when, at some point, I wanted to be an actor.
Okay.
And that's when it started. And then I wanted to be an actor probably until I was about, I don't know, 16. But alongside that, I also wanted to just to perform. So I wanted to be an MC. You know.
Really? What was the MC name?
Slider.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I had actually, to be fair, I had other names as well before I came to Slider.
Yeah.
I had some names that people don't even know because they didn't last long. I think it could have lasted even like a week before I changed it. Like, you know, I remember I had Anonymous.
Okay.
I had Thriller. I can't remember if I ever went with Silver. No, I don't think I remember considering Silver.
Okay.
I had one which I'm very embarrassed of. It was so embarrassing, this name. I had Gallus. And the reason why I think it's embarrassing because I wasn't a Gallus.
Just throwing it out there.
I was like, I wanted to be one. But I wasn't, you know. And I remember being like that name. I remember me and my friends talking about it. I was like, that name was so cursed because the whole time I had that name, you know, I remember it was like I didn't even get one girl that whole time. The whole time I had that name, it's not even like, you know, I was trying, you know, I was talking to girls, it just wasn't happening. I was just like, it was just an embarrassing name.
Oh gosh.
You know, to the point I remember even like, it's funny because only maybe in recent years, where my mum lives, in the flat she lives, outside it, basically there was a time when they were plastering the walls outside it, and I put Gallus on the wall, and it was there on the wall up until a couple of years ago when they now had replastered it. So it was just in the wall because when it was still wet, I put my finger in it, and I just
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So yeah.
So you wanted to be an MC, an actor. How did you even get into the name Slider?
Do you know what? I just was looking for names that sounded good.
Really?
Like, people thought it was for another reason, and I wish it was for another reason, but the real reason was literally it just sounded good, and it had the ER at the end, so it would rhyme with loads of stuff when you're MCing. You know, but then what happened was, and it might have been literally within a few months of me choosing that name, there was this guy in my school, his name was Eugene. He had come from living in, was it Australia? No. I can't remember, I think he came from Australia, something like that, right? So this was like year 9, year 10, something like that. And he came and he was dancing, he used to dance, he used to lock and pop and slide. And I remember looking at him and being like, right, he can lock, he can pop, and he's sliding and he's dancing and he's doing all this kind of stuff there. So I was like, okay, you know, I kind of want to do that. So I started doing that. It wasn't only him, he was one of the people, but then there was also this guy who was a year above me called Marlon. You know, I don't know if you know that group Flawless. So Marlon, who started Flawless, he was a year above me. So he used to always, like, he was always sliding as well. In the playground, and he used to play basketball, and he used to always be sliding while he was playing basketball and dancing. Even like, we used to do like talent contests in the school, and he used to be like, he used to dance in the talent contest as well. So, you know, so I remember seeing him as well, so, you know, and then it was like, at the time, Usher. And Usher was dancing. So these were kind of like the three. I can't remember who exactly was first, who I saw first, but you know, like, it was Usher, there was Marlon, there was Eugene, and all these people are dancing. And I remember like, oh, kind of want to do that. I want to learn that. That's cool. And then I started going to this class next to my house. Some guy called David used to take this class. He was like he's this old school dancer who was like a popular dancer back in the days. There used to be a crew of people which were known, and he was one of them as well. So, and he was doing a class next to my house, like in some hall in the school. So I used to go there. So I started dancing, and I got addicted to sliding. So I literally got addicted to it to the point where I was doing it at every single moment. So every time someone saw me and they're like, oh, Slider, they're like, oh, we know why they call you Slider. But that wasn't the reason. I got the name. It's almost like I spoke it into fruition. So I was like, okay, cool. Let everyone just think that. But they don't realize I had the name Slider first. But every time someone saw me, up until I literally only stopped sliding about a few years ago. But I still do it now. So some of the people, so basically when I'm cutting hair, like, what was funny is we changed the floor in like about a year and a half ago. But around my chair, my station, it was wood before, painted wood on the floor. It was so worn out because when I was going around the chair, when I would go around the chair, I wouldn't walk around the chair, I would slide around the chair. So the paint around the chair was just all rubbed out. And when you looked at everyone else's stations and you looked on their floor, it's all neat, but my one is just rubbed all out. And everyone's like, yeah, because you know what you're doing. So yes, I don't do it as much as I used to, but up until a few years ago, literally, the addiction lasted like 20 maybe like 15, 16, 17, 18 years. And I was just always doing it. So people just always, anytime anybody saw me, like big people, aunties, uncles, they just be like, oh, that's why they call you Slider. Because they would see me doing it.
You know what's crazy? Like, you had the name Gallus, you didn't get no ladies. And then you had the name Slider before he was even sliding. Like, it don't even make sense. But that's amazing, like, because some people think like when people have like a name or alias, it's kind of like it's derived from this happened or this. And you're just saying, I just came up with the name. So was you then, when you first started cutting hair, which was about 14, 15?
Around 13, 14, yeah.
13, 14. Was your name SliderCuts then? And what was that first barbering experience like for you?
My name was Slider then, it wasn't SliderCuts.
Okay.
SliderCuts came about 12 years ago.
Okay.
You know, but it was just Slider, so that was just my nickname now, my MC name, which was it was Slider D.
Yeah.
You know, just D because there was no reason. They just okay, Slider D. Just, you know, I remember like my younger brother being like, you know, what does Slider D stand for? And I'd be like, it stands for dangerous. You know, so keep.
Just making it up.
You know, your younger brother just kind of like, it stands for dangerous, isn't it? So keep messing with me in it. You're gonna find out. You know, so my brother would oh, Slider dangerous, Slider dangerous. But it wasn't Slider dangerous, it was just what I was saying to him, you know, to tell him that, you know, keep messing with me. I'm dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know? And but just Slider D.
Yeah.
You know, but then as kind of like it came to the end of me MCing, which was around 18,
Yeah.
I then it was just, and even probably at that point there, even though to be fair, even like before then, I think at some point it just kind of phased out. The whole D was just Slider.
Yeah.
And my first haircut around that 13, 14 was on me.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because basically my mum and my older brothers were cutting my hair.
Yeah.
My mum would just take it all off.
Just
skin, not one level, skin. Skin, zero, Apache zero. You know, so and then when I went to secondary school, I think my older brother started cutting my hair, but he'd just give me one level.
Yeah.
But it'd be like a one level, like maybe like a number 2 all around. So it basically looked like I never had a haircut.
Yeah.
So
it just not looking sharp or not.
Yeah, no shape up, there's no phase, there's no nothing. It was just kind of like, just take it all down, you know, one level. And then I went to a school where before, like the schools I went to, primary school, like let's say majority just like white.
Yeah.
So even like when I was a kid, the hairstyles I was looking at were like, when I was in primary school, were like curtains, because everyone had curtains. I went to school, everyone's white and they all had curtains. And it's like, I want curtains. You know, they look on TV and it's like David Beckham, he's got curtains. And then it's kind of like, take that. I don't know how old you are, but you know, take that.
Gary Barlow,
Owen, blah, blah, they had curtains. And I'm like, yo, I want curtains. I want my hair like that.
Sometimes your hair texture not even growing like that at all.
My hair's not doing that. But I wanted curtains.
Yeah.
Then I got to secondary school, and then it was like half of my year was black. Okay. The school I went to. So this is kind of like, it's like, you know, I'm around a bunch of people that look like me, and they've all got now haircuts, fades, and borderlines, and lines, and shape ups, and I'm looking at their hair, and I'm like, I want that haircut. I want the haircut, but I'm getting my Afro one level type things, right? So I remember one day being like, you know what? We can't afford to go to the barber shop. Yeah. I'm just going to try it myself. I'm going to give myself one of those haircuts, you know, and it didn't go well. You know, it went wrong. You know, I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Then I had to cut all my hair off to 0. Then I went into school and I got suspended from classes because my hair was too low, because you wasn't allowed your hair that low in the school I went to. So on top of having a bad haircut, you know, it's like I didn't want to cut my hair off. I didn't want it 0, you know. I wasn't getting.
That was the whole point. You were trying to make sure that your mum and your brother weren't cutting your hair no more.
Yeah, and you know, people are dissing me in school for having a bald head anyway. And then I'm not allowed in classes no more until my hair grows back to a suitable level.
It's just long. Every part of it is just long.
From worst to worst. But then, you know, we still didn't have no money to go to the barber shop. So the next time I gave myself a haircut, and I gave myself a lot of bad haircuts. You know, I remember literally one time, it's no exaggeration, I pulled back my hairline. It was here. And the reason why I know where it was is because it was in line with the front of my ear. So that's why I could just put my finger here and just like line it up. And I remember like shaping it up, it's gone back a bit. I'm like, okay, let's level it up. Oh, too far back. And I remember it was sharp though, because everyone who saw me was like, they look at me funny, but it was kind of like, yo, that's sharp. It was sharp though, but it was kind of like here. It was just, and then I remember I left it like that, and then the front of my hair here started growing back. So people were looking at me when it was growing back, being like,
What happened?
what's all that stuff going back at the front of your hair? You know, something you just didn't understand. What is that? And I was like, yeah. So yeah, I went through a lot of bad haircuts, you know. But then, you know, after a while, things just started getting better. Then I remember my little cousin started living with me.
Yeah.
And he was about, I'm like 14 now, maybe 14, 15. He's about 7.
Yeah.
So he's like, you know, his mum's like, when he moved in with us, like, oh, where does he go to get a haircut? I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, because I was enjoying cutting hair.
Yeah.
Then my little brother, every now and then, no, what my brother done was this hack. He'd get a haircut from me, no shape up, try and fade it, but then he'd go to the barber shop and they'll fix it up for cheaper.
Okay, yeah.
You know, so them times haircuts for £5, they're charging £3. They're like, okay, we're just shaping you up and just going over the fade. They're charging £3 to fix it up. You know, so he was doing that a little bit, you know. So then people around my area started being like, oh, you know, if you want a haircut, go to Slider's house or Mark's house, whatever they're referring to me as, you know, you can get a shape up for him or, you know, or get a quick haircut, you know. And that's how things built up. And then when I was 18, I got this kind of like intern or unofficial internship in a barbershop.
Yeah. So when did you feel like you'd reached the level of, I can really cut hair?
I thought I could really cut hair when I was...
And then when did you actually reach that level?
Yeah. So I thought I could really cut hair when I was 28.
Really? That far from 14, 15 to 28?
Yeah. When I was 28, I was like, right, I think I've mastered it now. Because I could cut hair before that and I was busy barber. I was like basically fully booked in a sense.
Yeah.
Before that. But I could produce good haircuts. But then there was this point when I realized that I'm not in control of when a haircut comes out excellent.
Wow.
And I used to always look, and because I had good barbers in front of me as well, it meant that I had good examples and I had a long way to go. Yeah. So where, you know, people saying a good barber, I was a decent barber. Because the barbers in front of me were so good, it meant that I knew what a good haircut looked like. And I knew, and I'd seen what they were doing. So I was like, okay, I need to get to there. And then, you know, I'll see the barbers in front of me and they'll be like, okay, someone's got a special occasion. They need a really good haircut. And they knew how to do a really good haircut. But for me, it's kind of like, it was hit and miss. It's kind of like, I'll do a haircut, it's like it came out really good and I didn't know what I had done to make the haircut really good. I was just cutting, you know.
And hoping for the best.
You know, I kind of knew what I was doing, but I wasn't fully in control of what I was doing.
I'm with you.
You know, so it was like, you know, people will see me as a good barber, but I kind of like knew that I was decent, but I just knew there was still...
There's a way to go.
There's a long way. I just knew there was a way to go in it. So, you know, but I remember then about 28 being like, okay, you know, I know what I'm doing, you know, I can produce good haircuts, you know, I'm really good now. But what was funny is when I was 22 or 21, I looked at the year before and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a much better barber now. Then when I turned 23, I was like, I'm a much better barber now. Then, you know, I'm turning 25 and I'm looking back saying, I wasn't good then. Oh, I'm good, I'm a decent barber now. 27, I look back at 25, I wasn't really good then. No, I'm good now. You know, I think when I stopped saying I wasn't really good then was probably when I turned maybe about 28, 20 to 30 is when I probably stopped looking back and saying I wasn't good then, but I'm good now. But what I'd do is I'd look back and say I'm better now. But I don't say that I wasn't good then.
It's a different application of what you looked like back then.
So I can look at my haircuts 5 years ago and I can see that I've improved. But it's not that I wasn't good 5 years ago. I was good 5 years ago. But I think even, I don't know, I think right now I'm at the peak of barbering for me. You know, doing all different haircuts. I'm in control. I know how to do a good haircut. I can cut quick. I can cut slow. I feel like now I'm at the peak, you know. But it's because basically I've just got a mindset of you're forever learning. And, you know, I see it as, you know, if I want to master this craft, I must forever be a student of it. So I'm always learning. I'm always looking at different barbers. I'm looking online. You know, I watch the barbers around me. I look at tutorials online. I look at different techniques. So I'm not in a place where I think, you know, this is just it. And people say, look, I did a live yesterday on Instagram and someone was saying, you know, what other barbers do you rate? And I was saying about these other barbers that I rate and for different reasons, right? And someone's like, oh, you know, you're just being over humble. And I said, no, I'm not being over humble. I'm just being truthful. You know, it might be a humble thing to be truthful, but I'm not being over humble. I'm just being honest. I know where I'm good. I know where someone's better than me. I know where I can improve still. You know, so I feel like, you know, this whole thing of just saying, who's the best barber? Me. You know, and I remember like, in a previous shop I worked in, there was a few barbers actually used to say this thing, which was like, people would say, who's the best barber in here?
Yeah.
And the barbers would always say things like, I remember like the barber, Damon saying, who do you expect me to say? Obviously I've got to say me, like, if you don't think you're the best barber, then there's an issue.
Yeah.
I remember being there quiet, the young barber, just being there quiet, listening to him. One, Damon was the best barber in the shop anyway.
Yeah.
But my thing was, when he's talking to customers and saying, who else am I supposed to say but me in it?
Yeah.
I was just like, he's like, what else should I say? And in my head, I was like, the truth.
Yeah.
If you're the best barber, you're the best barber. But if you're not the best barber,
yeah,
you don't have to like say, you're the best barber.
Yeah.
Now, Damon was the best barber.
Yeah.
So even then, it wasn't like it was a lie. He was the best.
Truth.
He was saying the truth, but he was saying, who else am I supposed to say?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, in my head, I didn't say it out loud. In my head, I was just thinking of, the truth, because, but then there's another barber who'd be like, he'd feel like he's the best barber, but I'm like, you're not the best barber.
Yeah.
You're not the best barber.
Yeah.
So if someone said to me, who's the best barber, it's kind of like, I'd be like, Damon is. Because he's the best barber.
Yeah.
That's just,
But I think it's also a thing where if people feel like, in whatever industry, if you feel like you're the best, if you know you're not the best at your craft, you feel like you might lose customers, or you might lose this, or you might lose that. And sometimes in certain cases, it's an ego thing. If I say this person's the best at what I do, and we're in the same vicinity, then people are going to go to that person rather than come to me. And then it's like, and some people don't look at it as a way of, how do I improve to get to that level? Some people look at it like, if I tell you that that's the person, you're not going to come to me anymore. You're going to go to...
I get that. I guess I've always just seen the value in your craft and being good at it.
Yeah.
And just knowing that, if you become good at what you do, customers will come. The focus is being good at what you do. So if I'm not there yet, and also I've never been like that prideful, and also, to be honest, I was a nervous barber as well.
Yeah.
Even though people couldn't see it, but I was a nervous barber. I used to be scared to do a lot of haircuts. So for me, it wasn't even about chasing the money. I'll be like, I don't want to cut that person because that haircut seems hard. In my head, so people wouldn't notice it, but I was just a nervous barber.
How do you overcome being a nervous barber and then essentially turn yourself into this now businessman? Do you understand what I'm saying?
You become good. You become good. I was nervous because I was honest about where I was at and what I was good at and what I wasn't good at. Because from the beginning of my journey, I had this thing like, and this is not even like some saying. This is actually the truth of what I was actually doing. I remember seeing older barbers, who started decreasing in their skill sets. And it was because they weren't honest about where they were at. And they were just always kind of like, something new would happen and they would just diss younger barbers, or they just, they just weren't learning anymore. And I remember like in my early days, I might have been like 18, 19, 20. I remember literally praying and, talking with God and just being like, God, please, 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 please never allow me to get to that place where I'm almost blinded, by, or I'm too prideful, just to see where I'm at, or I'm too prideful to learn from other people. I remember just always, that wasn't like a one-off prayer. I remember having that conversation with God so many times, just being like, I just don't ever want to be that, because I saw the older barbers, which suddenly got a bit older, the haircuts maybe started falling, but they just refused to acknowledge it. Or something new came in, and that could be social media, and they're just like, oh, that's just foolishness. And I just remember being like, don't be that person. Just, God, please don't let me be that person. And that's why now I still watch the younger barbers. I might be teaching a barber, but I'll still be looking at what they're doing, because there's things I can pick up from that younger barber still. And that could be, what they, that could be something I'm not doing. Like one of the barbers in my shop now, he does all this, he does these kind of facials with a hot towel and stuff like that. He looks up to me as a barber. But I'm still looking at him saying, okay, and I said to him, okay, at some point, if I start doing that, I'm gonna have to come to you to tell me what you're doing, or he's better at me when it comes to scissor cutting. When it comes to European hair, he's better than me at that. So I said, I looked at him and said, yeah, you're really good at that, this and that. I might have to start watching you more. Or something along those lines. It's just kind of like, ultimately, if I'm too prideful, it's me who suffers.
Yeah.
If I'm being prideful about, that it's me who suffers, but me dropping my pride and actually just asking for help where I need help means that I improve.
Yes.
So when you look at my business, it's kind of like, why is it at where it's at? It's because I'm honest about where I'm at. If I'm not in a good place, I'm not in a good place. If I'm in debt, I'm in debt. If my haircuts are up to scratch, then up to scratch. The truth doesn't change because I don't want to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
So acknowledging it allows me to address the issues instead, and then allows me to improve in those areas. So that's why it's always been that thing for me, from young, just looking at it. And that's why when I heard, the barber saying, oh, who am I supposed to say? In my head, I was just like, just say the truth. Even though he was saying the truth, innit? But I guess he was almost saying, even if he wasn't, I've got to believe I'm the best, and I'm just like, you don't have to believe. In my head, you don't have to believe you're the best. You can say you're not the best and, work to be the best instead.
You know what's inspiring as well? Even though you're saying, like, if you're not truthful, when you're truthful, you improve as well. You're only holding yourself back. But by you saying to the other barber, you do European haircuts like better than I do, like scissor cutting, or like when I come to do the hot towel, like facials and stuff, I'm gonna come to you. That also inspires them. So although you improve, they look at it like, oh, he's noticing. And it's little things like that that then grow your business, grow the relationships that you have with with the people that you work with, but also your customers will start to see that, and then all of a sudden you've built an environment where people feel like, you know what, I want to go SliderCuts, not because it's Slider who's doing it. I want to go to be a part of the environment. I want to go to be a part of the atmosphere, because if you're giving that inspiring, like, quick couple of seconds of words to this person, it will start to filter into what the atmosphere of the place is. You understand what I'm saying? Do you feel like in terms of business, that's the kind of mantra that you've had in terms of, I'm just going to be truthful, this is what I'm going to do, and whatever kind of comes back to me is because I've put my truth out there?
Yeah, honestly, that's the key. Like, even when I've done business talks, I've done masterclasses on business. The thing I always start off with is honesty. I said, when you're going on this journey of business, the first thing you need to be is honest. Like, you need to be, the foundation of your business needs to be honesty. Because honesty, stretches into so many different branches as to why it helps you. Because honesty, as an example, helps you to hire. Because if you're honest with yourself about where you're strong and where you're weak, honest about where you're weak, that's where you need to hire. Oh, I'm a good barber, I'm great, I do this, I do that, blah, 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 but you don't do, let's say, scissor cutting. I'm not really good at that. So hire in that area, so that when people come into the barbershop, they can get scissor cuts, even if it's not from me, but they can get it done in the barbershop. Oh, what else am I not good at? My grammar isn't good. And I hate responding to emails. I'm weak on that. I just don't, and I get overwhelmed by all these different emails when they come in. So anybody I hire, when it comes to an assistant, as example with the admin, they need to be really, really good at those things, because I've acknowledged that's a weakness of mine. So they need to, fill in those gaps. I always tell people, it's good, to know what your strengths are, right? But your strengths are your strengths. And I always say this, your strengths are your sprinters. And why I say that is because your strengths just sprint for you. What you're strong at, you just do. You just notice that if you're good at shaping up, as example, you just do it. And because it's a strength of yours, you probably just won't even notice it, but you just take pride in it. It just sprints for you. So it's good to acknowledge that's what you're good at and that's a strength of yours, but focusing all your energy just on your strengths and not acknowledging what your weaknesses are is where the cracks in your business come. Because it's kind of like, okay, I'm good at this, but I need to also acknowledge that I'm bad at that. So if I'm bad at that, what am I going to do about it? Am I going to improve? Am I going to do a course to do it? Am I going to hire someone in that space there? So those is where your business. That's where your business fails. It's those cracks there. Your strengths are going to sprint anyway. You can't help it. Like the things which I'm good at, I can't help. One of the things I'm good at is I'm a hard worker. But I can't help that. I actually have to pull myself back from working hard. That's just one of my strengths. So I had to say, and even like I remember the receptionist saying to me last year. I said last year I'm going to stop doing the 4 or 5 a.m. starts. I'm going to stop it this year. This is what I was saying last year. And I was getting towards the end of the year. I remember the receptionist, Chantel, she was saying to me, you're still doing 5 a.m.? And it's almost like weekly, like that November period. She's kind of like, you said you're going to stop it beforehand. You're still doing 5 a.m.s? She look at my schedule. You're still doing 5 a.m.s? And it's because, and I remember being like, okay, December came, and like mid-December, and I stopped. And I said, look, I've done it. I told you by the end of the year, I'm going to stop it. But that's one of my strengths. So I'm now having to kind of pull myself away from doing that thing there. So in my business, it's best now to spend some time focusing on what are my weaknesses, so that I improve those things there. So yeah, the business mantra, or the foundation is built on honesty and truth.
How do you then, if you're a hard worker and you are, you want your business to succeed and those sorts of things, how do you balance that between business and family? Because now, in the midst of you being a barber, you get married, you have kids. How do you then, and then you've got all these other things that happen in life anyway. How do you balance that? Or how do you prioritize, especially if you're still doing the 5 a.m. starts and these kind of things? How do you prioritize?
Well, I sacrificed energy and sleep. So my children have never felt I'm not around. I'm always around, because even I'll start at 4 or 5 a.m. as example, 5 a.m. most of the time. Let's say example, I was still taking my son to nursery every morning. Yeah. Because I was starting work, let's say at 5, then I would go home at 7 or 7:30, literally jump on a bus or rush home, whatever I do, get home, get my son, his clothes will probably be prepared from the day before, get him. And this was especially when my wife had our second child, and I was just kind of I'm she's not going to be doing all of this anyway. Yeah. So I was going home, getting him ready, brushing his teeth, taking him to nursery, then going back to work. Wow. And then at 5, when his nursery ended, or something like that, or 4:35, I was putting basically a break, you could say, at the end of the day around 4:30, and I'd go pick him up. It's an hour round trip. Pick him up, come back to the barbershop, carry on cutting hair for another hour, hour and a half, take him home. Yeah. So, and then it was Saturday evenings I was there, afternoons I was there. I was finishing I was trying to always finish around 3 o'clock so I could get home to be with them. Sundays I wasn't working. Mondays I wasn't working as well. Yeah. So then I'd be with them on Mondays. Mondays was always me and my son. Sundays, me and my son, and then my sons when my second child came, and then also I took him everywhere with me. So anytime I had jobs,
they were
with me. I'd cut with him on my back. Wow. I'd bring him to the barber shop. They used to be used to spend one day with me, because he used to do nursery 2 days a week. Yeah. Before he got into school, 2 days a week, Thursday, Friday. Then one of the other days, a Wednesday, he'd be at work with me all day. And then whenever I had jobs, I'd just take him or / them with me. So whoever it is, he's been, whoever it was, I'd be on a photo shoot. The quote unquote, not that this is the big thing, but you obviously wouldn't know, but the celebrities that have looked after him, because I'll be there cutting hair, and then they'll be that person's there entertaining, Makello, and playing games with him while I'm cutting this person's hair, he won't
celebrity babysitter.
But because he was just always there with me, and it's kind of he was just always with me, just kind of so I always made it that I'm gonna do what I need to do, but for my wife I was just kind of I'm not going to be it's all work and she's gonna feel this burden. Yeah. Because I'll be no, cool, I'll take her with me. No, it's cool with me. And sometimes she'll be are you sure? How are you gonna deal with it? This and that. And I'm I'll make it happen. Whatever. Yeah. Whatever the case, I'll make it happen.
That's amazing, because as you just said, your sons don't miss out. You don't miss out in terms of work or anything like that. And then on top of that, you're taking that kind of burden away from your wife. So then your family kind of works because you've done that, even though you sacrifice sleep, time, energy, all those types of things. But you're doing it for a greater good. It's not just I'm doing this so I benefit. You're doing it so us as a unit benefit from this. In all that you do, because you talked about celebrity babysitters that you've had in the house, how do you stay grounded, considering you're so popular? You've cut so many different people's hair. People know you from these different adverts that they've seen you in, and those types of things, you get recognized. How do you stay humble and stay grounded?
Well, there's a couple of things. One, I just don't believe I'm bigger than anyone else. Just on a human level. Yeah. Because I do this doesn't make me better than you. Yeah. The fact it makes me more known than you, it might make me more celebrated than you. Yeah. But it doesn't make me better than you.
That's good.
Also, you're here today, you're gone tomorrow. I've always acknowledged the fact that, yes, I've got, I've got a following. Yes, people, recognize me. I get stopped, I get stopped to take pictures and things like that.
Really?
Yeah, which I find a bit strange sometimes as well, to be honest. I know, I do find it strange. But I think also, and some of the staff in my shop have said this to me, where they say I don't acknowledge maybe the position I'm in or how people see me, but I can't see how people see me because I'm.
You see yourself.
I can't see myself.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm in the brand. I can't see. Like I literally can't see how people see the brand. Because I'm inside the brand. I'm doing the brand, making the brand. So I don't really notice how people see it or what that feeling is. And I just kind of like I just don't rate myself that highly.
Wow.
And my wife used to say this about me, right? And she used to have an issue with it.
Yeah.
She used to say, you see yourself too lowly in a sense, like, like you shouldn't see yourself that low.
Yeah.
But it's not that I see myself in a place where it's like, oh, suddenly I don't rate myself or rate anything which I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I can't explain it. I just don't.
You don't gash yourself. Is what? Or you don't overestimate who you are.
Yeah.
You're saying you don't see yourself highly, but you do respect your ability.
I respect my ability, but that's just based on truth. I don't respect it above what it is.
Yeah.
And I don't also put it in a place where it's not. So example, like I remember, like, no offense to all the barbers who said this, right? But I just didn't agree with it.
Yeah.
Like in lockdown when people were being like, barbering's an essential service. And I was just like, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not essential. We're not the ambulance. We're not doctors.
Yeah.
We're not carers in a sense, we're not the ambulance. We're not the fire brigade. Like these are essential services.
Yeah.
People die.
Yeah.
If these things aren't there. Yes, barbering is something which is very helpful for the community with people's mental health, with the way they feel, and all those things there.
Yeah.
But we're not. I just feel like I just don't rate myself in a place which is just a lie. We're not essential. People can live without us.
Yeah.
And that's what all it is for me. Just kind of like just being honest about things, and just not buying into the gas. People like you now, tomorrow they don't like you.
It's true.
Then you lived for all that adoration in a sense. You lived for it, and then suddenly it's gone, and then you're still searching for it, and it's just kind of like, I might be known now. I could be cancelled tomorrow because I do something, or someone hears me say something which they don't like, and suddenly we don't like you.
Simple.
Or something I said now is acceptable now, but then in 5 years it suddenly becomes unacceptable. And someone pulls up this interview and something I've said here, it could be me saying that, barbering's not an essential service. In 5 years, that could be something that's really offensive. Kind of like, how could you say that? This and that, blah, 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 cancelled. And they're like, go online and make a public apology or this and that. You just don't know. So my thing is like, not to live for those things there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. So when people say, how do you stay grounded? It's because I just don't see myself above anyone else. You stay grounded because I am on the ground.
Yeah. It's true.
That's how you stay grounded. You stay on the ground. You're not bigger than anyone else. You're not more important than anyone else. Ultimately, I'm a glorified servant. And that's the truth. I cut hair. If you come into the barbershop, you ask me for a haircut. I have to do what you ask, and then you pay me for that service. So I'm just serving you. I'm just a glorified servant.
Being honest with yourself now, as you always are, very clearly. What is it that you now need to do next in your life to then go to that next level that you see, whether it's in barbering, whether it's in family, whether it's just overall? You as Mark, what's that next? What do you need to do to go to that next step or that next level of improvement?
Well, I'm in the process actually right now, and it's happening. So you asked me this question. This is something that's been happening since the last 4 or 5 months. I've been going through a change, and the change has been to run my business better.
Yeah.
Because as much as it is seemingly a successful business, it is. We've got loads of barbers in there, loads of staff. The barbers are all making money. They are all working there. A lot of them mostly fully booked. We've got a big name and everything like that. I've done that at the sacrifice of the business. So not going to like all the details, but it's just things like even like my price structure, the way the money works with the barbers, the splits, all these type of things there. I've always done it in favor of the people. And I remember like a few years ago, like, I've come into owning my own shop now, and I'm hearing about other salons. And in traditional salons, they take a higher percentage, basically from their stylists and their staff.
Yeah.
Especially, it's all based on if you provide a lot of stuff for the stylists. So if you provide all the customers, you know, you provide the space, you know, you take care of certain things, then you take the higher percentage.
Yeah.
As a standard, a lot of shops just do like they'll do an even split and they're not giving them anything.
Yeah.
You know, so in my shop, I provided, you know, like you've got receptionists there. So, you know, receptionists will help out.
Yeah.
You know, you're running late, they'll call your clients, they'll help you move appointments around, lock off days, do that kind of stuff there for the staff. I also provide all the customers. None of the barbers or stylists actually go out their way to find any stylists or, find any customers. You know, I'm the one who's doing all the promotion and things there and other things, right? But I take the lower end.
Got yeah.
So not only do I not take even, not even even, I take the lower end.
Wow.
But the reason why for me is always because I was always kind of like, I want to see these you know, the barbers, the stylists really kind of like succeed. And I used to be like, you know, I want to see them like do really good, you know. And then I came to realize, you know, over time, actually, these other salons, they're actually doing things correctly. I started understanding when, you know, you're hiring receptionists, you realize that's a full-time job that doesn't actually bring in money, but it helps the business. But it doesn't bring in money. So that's just money that just goes out. It comes back in other ways in a sense of how it helps the business, but it doesn't come back.
You can't see the money that correlates with the job that person does.
They can't bring any money. A barber, you know, a stylist brings in money.
You can see that.
You can see it. You know, but a receptionist is actually needed, but they don't bring in money. You know, we've got back-end staff. You know, there's people who do things like order counts every week. You know, that's a job for someone. Because the way the shop works, you know, with all the different people bringing in money or the splits, all that kind of stuff there, that someone has to do all the counts, someone has to do the splits, and then, you know, that person kind of like coordinates with my accountant, and you know, this is the thing from the shop this week, blah blah. The accountant, and then the accountant does everything else. But that's someone. The accountant, some of the payrolls, this and that. That's a monthly charge. You know, you have to pay. You know, there's just so much. You know, the web manager to make sure all the links are still working. They change things, this and that. That's someone you're paying. And there's just so much other areas of things you pay, right? And these are areas that don't directly bring in any money. The only people that bring in money are the people on the shop floor. Right. So I got to a point where it's looking great. People are booked up. Everybody is just looking like they're flourishing. Everyone's like, the business is doing great. They're loving the customer stuff. They're loving it, right? But I'm in a position where I'm not even making any money from the shop. And furthermore, the shop's actually behind. And if I was to, God forbid, be sick for 6 months, unless I got a loan or I dropped off certain staff members like the receptionists or the people who do the counts, which you can't do because you need them, you know, the business would close down because it's not making any profit. You know, so then I came to a point where it's kind of like, actually, I'm doing all these things to build up the business, build up my profile, you know, build up the people, all these things there, but I'm not pushing it.
You're not making it sustainable.
Basically. So even like the prices I was charging up until like about a month ago, you know, I knew I could always charge more, but the reason why I never charged more was because of my existing clients. But I knew new clients would come in, and I knew I wasn't worried about being booked up. Because like, you know, from years ago, I'd been turning away more clients than I cut anyway. So I always knew that I could up my prices. I could go up a lot higher. And even if these guys leave me, I will fill up my chair still. But my feeling of loyalty towards the clients never allowed me to do so. But then I also came to a point, you know, in November, December, where I was just kind of like, actually, I'm here working, right? The shop's not even making profit. I could be charging more. I'm putting money into different things, like, you know, also, like I got like even like a publicist, you know, PR manager, you know, and her company, they're on a retainer. I pay them every month. If they get me no work, I still pay them. If they get me loads of work, I still pay them. You know, so it's one of them things where it's like I have to pay that person every month, regardless of what happens, right? And these things help to, you know, I started using it last year. These things help to build up your profile, right? And I'm doing all these things there, and it's kind of like, well, why is the money you're receiving not changing? Because ultimately you're investing into it. The shop, you invested like hundreds of thousands of pounds of money I didn't have. Like, you know, I always talk openly about the figures. Like, you know, we're talking about £200,000 to £300,000 of borrowed money. You know, so we're not balling. Went into my back pocket and pulled it out. No, it's just all borrowed money. Maxed out credit cards, took loans from friends of friends, payday loans. You know, loans that you take the £10,000, you pay back £20,000. You know, just did that. You know, to build up this business to get it to where it's at. And it just kind of hit me where it's like, why are you not seeing the fruits of it? But everybody else is.
Yeah.
All the staff are seeing it. You know, they've all been put in good positions. You know, the customers, they're getting the haircuts they want, this and that. The price point, I guess they're happy with, this and that. But it's just kind of like, you put everyone first. And that's a good thing, because putting everyone first actually helped to get the business to where it's at. But at some point, I had to stop, and that was like in this, about 4 or 5 months ago, and stop and say, actually, some changes need to happen. First of all, because also I had this community guilt as well. Like, I almost felt not happy, but okay with the fact that the business never made money.
Because it was doing something in the community.
Yeah, but we used it, we hire even runners. I pay the runners, everyone, the barbers are all making money. So even one of the barbers one time said to me, oh, but you're lucky because, you don't get it. He said to me, you don't get it because you've got the shop, so you make money from cutting and the shop. And I said to him, so what are you talking about? I said, I don't make money from the shop. I said, all the money I make, it's from me cutting. And I felt almost kind of like proud almost to be like, yeah, I could tell him, yeah, I don't make money from the shop. But you look back, you think yourself, why is that? Why are you proud of that? What's this community guilt? Why do you feel guilty about the fact of making money? You've invested all this money, and I'm still paying back all this money. Like, I've still got another 2-3 years of paying back all these debts. So it's 3.5 years in, I still got 2-3 years of paying back all these debts. So God forbid, if the shop was to close down right now, I still got 2-3 years of debts to pay. So why am I guilty about the fact if the shop makes me money? I had to ask, I spoke to a business coach. This is kind of like, things were happening. I spoke to this business coach, and this is not even what we were talking about, because the business coach had what we were talking about had nothing to even to do kind of with me. But he said something that triggered something, and he just said to me, but why are you uncomfortable about me in that position of being the boss, the owner? Like, even like when people staff would sometimes say things to me like, oh, boss, I feel awkward. I never used to like being called that, because I like being elevated above them. I always want to be like, we're in the same place, we're on the same level. I never liked it. And basically, long and short, I had to come to a realization of, accept the position you're in. You are the owner. I am the owner. I am the boss. And that, my value, is higher than what I'm charging. And the reason why I say my value is higher, it's not because I just believe it's higher. No, it's because I can charge that. Some people say, I feel like I'm valued at this, but it's like, will anyone pay that? And if no one's willing to pay that, then your value is zero now. Because what you're getting paid an hour right now.
100%.
Zero. So you're worth as much as you can get, and as much as someone's willing to pay you to some degree, right? And I'm not saying that so people put themselves down, but I'm just talking about just business-wise, what you can get. So I just knew I can charge more and get that. People see me on the street and always hear my prices, and it started getting embarrassing because it sounds bad. It was stupid. It started getting embarrassing because people were always thinking I was charging a lot more. They're like, oh, you only charge that? Oh, okay, yeah, it's calm. Oh, that's calm. And I was just like, oh, yeah, I know I can charge more.
From there, you should know that you're not charging enough. Because if someone looks at you and says, oh, that's calm.
All the time.
Then that's a bit like, that should be a triggering in your mind of, you know what, I'm not charging enough, or I'm not putting, the value of who I am is not at the level that it should be. Because people shouldn't hear your price. And this is just in a lot of services in general. If you're at a certain level of quality in whatever you're doing, people shouldn't hear your price and go, oh, that's calm. I personally don't believe that.
No, they shouldn't be. And everyone's just kind of like, oh yeah, cool, I'm come get a trim for you. And also, even in the tier of barbering that people put me in, so forget where I put myself or where I'm at, in the tier of barbering that people put me in, and the names they put me next to, like, let's say in the top 10 barbers and stuff like that in the industry.
Price-wise, your percentage?
In that price range of what they all are, I was the cheapest.
Oh, of course, because people think your price is calm.
So I was the cheapest out of all of them. So yeah, so a lot of changes basically started happening where I just had to accept and be like, okay, do you know what? Customers are going to be upset about this or not happy, but such is life. Because even when I spoke to customers about it, I was like, it's funny. Everything I tell you I'm doing, right, for the business or the money I'm investing, when they were like, you shouldn't be going up, this and that, I said, in my position, would you have even been charging what I'm charging up until this point? And no one could say yes. Not one person could say yes. But still some people are like, oh yeah, but please this and that. And I was like, I said, it's funny because you're telling me you wouldn't do the same thing, but you're wanting me to do the same thing for you. But you wouldn't do the same thing in my position. A lot of customers also said, you know what? Yeah, it makes sense. You should be doing that. Some customers like, I get it. Some customers left and they said, look, I get what you're doing. I just can't afford it, but I get what you're doing. I'm not willing to pay that much money, but I get what you're doing. Like, you should be doing that. So there's those changes there. Then even in the business, even little things like, we're paying VAT in the business, right? really what's happens in VAT is you're supposed to charge people the VAT.
Yeah.
So if you're a barber and let's say you give me £100, for example, I'm supposed to charge you VAT on that because you're paying me. So I'm supposed to say, okay, it's £100 plus VAT, which is £120.
Yeah.
So for the last coming up to a year, we've been paying the VAT, but I've just been covering everyone's VAT.
Jeez.
You know, just because I'm looking out for them and trying not to hit them with the bill. But even like the VAT man said it, my accountant said, you're supposed to charge them the VAT. But I'm just kind of like, oh, I just feel like I don't want to, and I don't want to hit them up or give them extra charges. And in recent times, in the same like 4 or 5 months, it's just like, fix up. You know, every month you're not making any profits. You know, things just need to change. First of all, this business needs to start making money without me in it.
Yeah.
Because it balanced up because I'm working in a business, but it needs to work without me in it. You know, also these guys are making good money. You know, they've been put in a good position. They just shot. The thing, I'm already giving them the lower percentage. You know, and also I'm paying the VAT right now. You know, it's just like I just need to change and actually just start running the business properly. You know, and it's funny, and this is not a shot at any of my stylists or barbers, right? But I spoke to one of the barbers a couple of days ago, and I said to him, it's funny, right? Because as a business owner, especially with my character, I'll do things to help people, and you're really trying to help people, right? And you come to realize that people don't care. Now, to make it clear, when I say they don't care in a bad way, but they just generally just don't care. It's not a bad thing. It's just they're just not thinking about it, right? Because when I told everyone, you know, I've been paying their VAT for the last year or coming up to a year, right? 9 months to a year, whatever it was, right? You know, and I'm not supposed to be, and you know, I can't be doing that. You know, I'm going to start hitting you guys up for the VAT and whatever it is, right? I said to this barber, I said, I'm not even getting at you. I said to him, I said, but it's funny. I said, not one person said to me, oh, for real? Oh, thanks for that. So what was I doing it for? If they don't really care.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing as well. The other thing to that is you empower the barbers as well. By doing that, like what you might not see it initially, but you'll see that you'll start to empower the barbers in terms of what they can do, what their skills and abilities they have, and all those types of things, which is amazing. But you'll see that. Hopefully, you'll see that.
No, it's changing. No, it's changing. Right now, listen, everyone understands it. We've sorted out things. It's all good. It's not that they had to say thank you, but it was hitting me to the point where it's like you're doing things for people, right? You know, to help people, the customers, the barbers, and this and that. And it's kind of like, and I'm happy that I've done it in that way. Because now I put the barbers in a good position, you know, the business in a good position. I've filled in all the weak areas. We've got the receptionists, we've got the back end staff, we've got all the things we're supposed to be doing, right? And now I'm like, okay, cool. Now the business is running well. Now I need to start thinking about profits. Now we need to think about, okay, how am I going to get profits from the business now? And you know, and obviously I'm going to get a profit. I'm going to be in a better position, just not paying people's VAT. That's one change. You know, some of the deals which I shifted around with people a little bit. They're still on the better end anyway, but I'm shifting them around a little bit, thinking about the finances, speaking to my accountant, and just running the business properly. Just actually, which is one of the last things which is happening right now for me, is also you can be friendly to people. But the business, I've always said this to people, right? And I never followed my own advice. Make sure the business stays business. So I made sure that the business stayed business in the sense of the way I acted towards them, but I never treated, it's weird, I never did it in reverse, where it's kind of like, actually, I need to just treat it as a business. So as an example, meaning what this means by that is, if you need to let go of someone because they're not doing the things you want, then you let go of them. It's just business, you know. If you want your shop to run a certain way, let it run a certain way. There's no kind of like a negotiation. It's kind of like, this is how you want your shop to run. If someone working there doesn't want to fit into that, then that's fine. They don't have to fit into that. They can leave. And it sounds harsh. It's not like I'm telling people to go, but just kind of like, I know how I want my shop to run.
It's the mentality you need to have.
You know, I know how, and this is what's changed. I've just been like, I know how I want my shop to run. So this is how it's going to run. And some of the things people might want, it might not be wrong and it might not be bad, but it's just not what I want. So if you can't fit into this, then it's best for you to leave. And it's not a beef. And that's for me, it's not even beef. It's just kind of like, I put all this investment, I put all this time, I've made sure all the barbers are in a good position. You know, I need to make sure also the business runs how it is, the environment, the conversations, the music, the, you know, so on and so on, whatever it is. I just need to make sure all of these things are running exactly how I want them to run. Because ultimately, people do what they want to do. It's not selfishness. It is selfishness on a small level though, but not really like selfish, like a selfish person. People just do what they want to do. And if the business fails right now, they just move on. They go to another barbershop, they go to another hairdresser, they just move on.
That's not going to happen.
And I'm left with the debts of this thing and whatever it is. So,
and then you go back to what happened to your mom.
Yeah.
Where she didn't have her business after what happened with her, granted different circumstances.
Yeah.
But there's a potential that you could then put yourself in that position where it's like, I then lose out on my business because I didn't do the things necessary. Where your mum didn't get insurance, same way you didn't done things necessary from a business perspective to put yourself in a position where you're sustainable and able to be, whether you're in or out of the shop. And I think that's key. And it's interesting that what happened to your mum, like you're thinking, okay, I can't lose my business. Which is crazy. We could talk about loads of other things. But I'm going to give you one last question. My last question to you today is, with where you're at in life right now, what encouragement would you give to yourself?
Give myself the encouragement I give myself right now.
Right now.
I'd say right now the encouragement I'd give to myself is, you're doing the right things now. And you may have got there late, but those experiences and those things that you have gone through, which is always the case, is now a lesson that you can teach other people. And the good thing is that you've got there, and you're constantly still learning, you know, which has been the thing, you know, me talking to myself, which has been the thing, you know, you've always said, you know, you're a student of your craft, you're a student of the game, you're always learning, you know, so you're going to learn a lot more things. And as long as you stay doing that, you know, things will go well. But just use those lessons which you do to teach other people so they don't have to make the same mistakes that you've made.
Mark, this has been a great conversation. This has been a great conversation. And for you guys watching at home, I hope you've enjoyed this. There's been Conversation with Haych with the amazing SliderCuts, aka Mark. Make sure you check it out, and we'll have much more conversations and content coming for you very, very soon.